Good evening. We'll call this meeting to order of the Urban Renewal Authority. Have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez? Absent. Commissioner Grantham?
Here.
Commissioner Jaquez? Absent. Commissioner Hamrick?
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Reeser?
Here.
Commissioner A. Smith?
Here.
Commissioner B. Smith?
Here.
Chairman Payne?
Present. I would ask that you join me to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is citizens requesting to speak to the Urban Renewal Authority. I don't see anybody present. Next item is consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes of the Urban Renewal Authority meeting on March 3rd, 2021. Entertain a motion.
Seeing no comments, Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we approve the minutes from the March 3rd, 2021 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Yes.
Commissioner Grantham?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeser?
Aye.
Commissioner A. Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner B. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Payne?
Aye. Item B, under consent, receive and file list of bills. Pretty short list. We don't need a report from the treasurer on this?
So, Mr. Payne, I did want to mention that the $500,000 has been transferred into the URA account. So other than these two bills, that's all that's been happening.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the bills.
Commissioner, I'd like to make a motion that we approve to receive and file the list of bills.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeser?
Aye.
Commissioner A. Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner B. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Payne?
Aye. Next item, city administrator review the agenda and consent agenda items.
We've already completed the consent agenda. The remaining items on the agenda are the executive director report, item 8, discussion on priorities, procedures regarding urban renewal applications, and then an executive session. If you'd like me to go ahead and go into the executive director report, I can do that.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay. We have completed the project of installing the sewer main over on the Skyline Steel property. That was completed last month, and it's my understanding that the owner of the ice house has made an application for a sewer tap and will be tapping into that sewer line. We are still in discussions with Acorn Petroleum regarding their location and trying to relocate them so that the Skyline Steel site can be redeveloped. So that is ongoing. We are in discussions with the Fremont National Bank building and Mr. Tezak regarding that urban renewal agreement. And we still have some projects that are kind of out there right now, kicking around, and still seeing some developments on the horizon. Rick, anything you want to add from an economic development side?
Not at this point. There are a few projects out there that are interested in TIF. Still probably too early to talk about them. you know, we don't necessarily want to put the cart before the horse, but I guess as far as urban renewal, no, we will begin, we've had a number of conversations with Pharisee, and we will begin TZAC conversations. And the rest of it is really, I guess, the discussion item that we'll be talking about next.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda. This is a little out of order, isn't it? We already approved stuff on the consent agenda, and so to approve it now would be a... Okay. Of course, I already did the financial too, so I jumped the gun there, so. Yeah, okay. Well, we already did the agenda. I guess we should approve the agenda, though.
Mr. Chair,
Sir.
I move we approve the agenda, amended agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeser?
Aye.
Commissioner A. Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner B. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Payne.
Aye. The financial report, we kind of already covered that, and I skipped a step there, and we already voted on that. I apologize for that. I'll have to look at the second page of the agenda from now on. And we already did the executive director report. So we'll go into discussion on item number 5, priorities and procedures regarding urban renewal applications.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our urban renewal is very new, and we had projects in the pipeline. And in the interest of working with those projects that already had interest in using the Urban Renewal Authority, we kind of put the cart before the horse, and we accepted those applications, worked through those applications with the board. But moving forward, what we would like to do is schedule a special meeting with the Urban Renewal Authority to have a deeper discussion about what are the priorities, what are the criteria that we should be looking for in these projects. There was a lot of discussion at the last meeting about these topics. It would be good for staff to have a good idea of what those priorities are and what that criteria is, so when we're moving forward with these types of projects, we can set the expectations appropriately for those who are applying and give them an idea of what they should be expecting from both staff and from the Urban Renewal Board, and as well as the process and what process we'll be going through from an approval standpoint. Rick, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that covers it pretty well. It occurred to me very, very early on that if we're going to be representing the Urban Renewal Authority to investors or property owners out there that are interested in using the TIF, we need to have some guidance about what types of projects will be considered, and how do we define certain terms in terms of urban renewal. It becomes pretty, I don't want to say painful, but it becomes pretty clear when you're talking to business owners and they're asking you questions, you don't quite have the answers. So as from an authority perspective, or excuse me, from an organizational perspective, it would be very helpful to have some guidance in that. And it really comes down to the organization of the urban renewal to set those parameters. So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, we want to be able to provide as clear and consistent a process and policy as possible, so those that are applying have a relatively good idea of what to expect going through this process. What we would propose is having Ricker Cunningham, the urban renewal consultants, come down and facilitate a discussion. We probably wouldn't do it up at the dais. We'd probably do it in the back with flip charts and having a deeper discussion regarding this topic. So happy to take any feedback or questions regarding that. If not, then we'd be looking to schedule and coordinate a date.
So I'll bite on this. I would welcome that, honestly. to talk to them. I know that there's going to be a pretty diverse possible set of rules and procedures, et cetera, that we might glean from even around the state, let alone around the country on some of these things. And so I'm curious as to what, so that we can actually have a good discussion with them. My experience is pretty limited on URAs as far as participating like this, and I imagine it is for everybody in here. Want to be able to ask them the right questions about how others have done it, what are those parameters, and then we can at least be able to talk intelligently with them about where we want to head. Because as far as last month goes, in one case in particular, it's one of those kind of things, I knew it when I saw it that I didn't like it. But I'm trying to think as I sit here, what kind of parameters do you put in place that helps you guys be able to give them better feedback on the front end so that it doesn't come to that? And I don't know the answer to that, honestly, guys, but whatever we can do to maybe have the right questions for them and direct us into those kind of procedures that would better guide you guys. So.
Matt, that's exactly what we're looking for, and we'll provide some source documents and some handouts ahead of time to try and up that education level for being able to ask the right questions.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, Ms. Reed?
I think that'll be good for them to come down to, because council has gotten to meet with them and ask all of our questions. But for everyone who's not on city council has had no opportunity to be able to engage with them and get maybe questions that they still have even from before. And so I think that would be good. Something I just want to be cognizant of course, we want to have the parameters and some guidelines. I just want to be careful that we don't back ourselves in a corner so tightly that we lose the focus of being business friendly and being able to be flexible, because my understanding that's the purpose of the URA board, is to be able to still have these discussions and decide if this fits or not. And so I don't really know how you put parameters in place in writing and then are still able to be flexible when the situation calls for it. So I'm a little nervous about trying to figure out how to do that, honestly.
Yeah, I think you look more in terms of standard practices around the state, at least. And it's never going to be black and white. There is a level of managing expectations I think that's going to be necessary. But there's a level of criteria, I guess you could say, that could be defined to help manage those expectations. And I look at it a lot more from a perspective of organizational credibility than anything else.
That makes sense.
Consistency or lack of consistency can really destroy credibility. And that's really what we're looking for. But it'll never be black and white. You're absolutely right. We don't want it that way.
But I think having a good understanding of what those priorities are, having a good understanding of what those priorities are helps us. Even if we're talking to an applicant, we have an idea, where, whether or not an application will be successful. If we know, where the board kind of sits on different sets of priorities, we can let them know, that applicant, just kind of what to expect going into a meeting.
Mr. Hamilton, Ms. Reeser?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to kind of follow along with this discussion, it would seem to me that what would be beneficial for us would be to have lists of different kinds of projects that we could discuss in terms of URAs and, somewhat generalized, but also with specifics, if that makes any sense at all, because what you're really asking for, I believe, are general categories of things this is a board, we're going to have different views. There will be lots of times when we're pretty much in agreement across the board. There'll be times when the board may be split on agreement on whether a particular project is appropriate or should be pursued or not. And there may be agreement across the board on projects that we really don't want to see come before us. And so using that as guidance for Ricker Cunningham may help them provide us with a meaningful discussion list that we can then learn from, correspond with ourselves, reach agreements where we do, understand our differences where we don't, and be able to set some parameters for staff.
Okay. Ms. Reeser?
I agree with everything that's been said. I do feel like procedures are important, at least for the city staff, because you guys need some guidance to have a consistent message to folks. And since we're in the infancy, and I think Commissioner Reed said this previously, that we're setting a precedent here, and I think we need to try to be professional and consistent from the get-go. And I also think that we need to be mindful of legislative intent, and I think it's a fabulous idea to meet with these folks because we can dig a little bit deeper into how they're doing it across the state and those sorts of things. So that's a fabulous idea, Ryan. And thanks, everybody. Great ideas, good input.
Will this be a special meeting and not during our regular meeting?
Yeah, I would recommend doing it as a special meeting. It's probably going to take about 2 hours or maybe longer, just because there's a lot to discuss, and knowing this group, there's going to be probably a lot of debate.
Okay. You set it up and let us know then. Give us plenty of notice, hopefully. Okay. Anybody else have anything else on this?
From a timing standpoint, evenings or during the day, is there a preference of the board? 3 a.m.? Okay.
I'll be there.
There's a lot less debate at 3 a.m.
I'm good with anything, I just need advance notice.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's,
So at least 2 weeks advance notice, good for everybody? 3? Okay.
We're getting closer to summer, Ryan. so-
I know.
just the second Thursday of the month's out on me with Upper Ark Water, and I'm sure everybody else has extra things too, that they got things. We'll try to weave it in somewhere.
Yeah, I have second and fourth Mondays for school board.
Okay. We'll get some dates out to everybody and take a vote and get something scheduled.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody have anything else before we move on? Okay. We'll move into item 6, which is an executive session. Who's doing it? John? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Urban Renewal Authority enter into executive sessions for the following purposes. An executive session to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, develop a strategy for negotiations, and/or instruct negotiators pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024E concerning the Holiday Inn Express.
Okay, we have a motion. Need a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeser?
Aye.
Commissioner A. Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner B. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Payne?
Aye. We will move into executive session.